actually is a really fun thing to do, and it works in all types of classrooms, depending on what you're doing. A lot of the examples I see are in science classes, you know, because you can do the big lab experiments. But really, it works for anything. Obviously, you know, I teach math. We have English, Spanish, other math, a little bit of everything. It works for everything, depending on what you want to do. And with Common Core, we're supposed to be going deeper. Well, deeper means going beyond, well, this is how you do it, so now let's go to something else. They have to understand where it comes from, why we do it, how can we apply it, where can we apply it. And that's where doing a flipped classroom can come in handy, because some people are like, well, then I'm going to spend days and days on this, especially those of us, say, in the middle school who only get 50 minutes. We can then spend that entire 50 minutes on this as opposed to having to do a whole extra day. So that really comes in handy. The kids can also watch it over and over and over again for those kids who don't get things the first time. And I've had kids say I had to watch it more than once, but then I understood it. You could also use this when we have subs. So there's no more, we have a sub, we don't have to do anything, yes. Because I had to miss a day for, I think, a PD day or something, and I literally it took me about an hour by the time I did for 3 different classes, but we didn't fall behind. I had all 3 classes, and I just had the sub log in and show them the videos, and then I also shared so they could watch them later. So not only did they watch them in class, they were able to watch them at home again, which you can share. We obviously can share through Lumens. You could also do through Google Drive. You can share links through Google Drive. But those are other options, because then even though they didn't, maybe you had to take that 10 minutes, they still have the extra. For us would be 40 minutes. Maybe for you guys who have almost another hour. So it just depends what you want to do. And not only that, it kind of helps your sub, because then they see what to do as well, and then they can help if they've got any background. So when I've kind of made an outline, when you're making one of these, I definitely don't recommend winging it, because you're going to get a lot of, when you're recording yourself, going, and then because you're flipping, going, okay, what do I do next? So have like an outline written out so you know what you're doing. Now, if you're just kind of messing with it for the first time to check how things work, to see, sure, no big deal. But when you're ready to actually record yourself, have an idea. Now, some people will be the type who want the script in front of them. Some people will say, if I have bulleted points, I'll know what to do. That's fine. The next thing would be materials. For instance, if you're going to actually record yourself speaking, you need the headphone set. We use a Mobi for our math, so don't get started talking and realize your Mobi's clear across the room, so you're going to have to take off your headset, and then you're going to have to start over, so you've basically wasted a few minutes, and now you're going to have to redo what you've done. Jade, if you were going to do maybe something with Shakespeare where you wanted to act out, I'm sure you could use the camera and record yourself with the microphone and show the kids, so maybe you could show them a small version if you want them to create a one-act play or something to that effect, so they can see a type of experiment. But then you need to make sure you have your camera, your microphone, and everything in place, and then you can upload that. You know, something to that effect. I mean, Angie, if you wanted to do something where you're doing a cultural conversation or like a cafe experience, of course you're gonna have somebody in the room unless you want to talk to yourself and do back and forth. Yeah, but you could do the whole ambiance and everything. And I mean, because I just remember from back in the day, we did some of that, but sometimes some kids don't grasp it right away. So if they have the visual going, oh, okay, I get it. So some things like that. If you have it recorded, or especially for a foreign language, if they're listening to it over and over again, I just think of Rosetta Stone actually. But that would be a good thing. For elementary learners, it would be a great thing for them if they're learning a new fact, so they could go watch it again. This is what I definitely use for some of my lower level learners, is I can record myself and share it with them so they can relearn.
Should you just use your camera that's on the little...
Well, when I do it, it records the screen, so I've never recorded myself. So like, what I would do, I brought my headphone set, is I take my headphone set, and you plug it in to your little USB drive thing here. And now you're hooked up with audio, and this has a microphone right here. And then you want to wear this while you're talking, because you don't want to do this well. So you'd be wearing this, and what I do is then you're good, so you guys can see what I'm doing up here. I open It's called A2 catcher. And this is what will record you if you're doing anything on the screen. So say you're trying to show them, for us it would be a math problem. If you were showing them how to break down sentence structure, if you want to show them how to get on a website and do citations, you can show them step by step. This can be a shortcut. 9 times out of 10 I just exit out and I go to screen record, because this will record anything you're doing on the screen at that time.
Screen record?
Mm-hmm. Screen record. I don't honestly really use anything else. I've kind of messed with them a little bit, but haven't really found anything that trips my trigger. And once you're on screen record, all these little boxes, no, I don't want to do that, boxes at the bottom. I always like minimize and start, because that means this box will go away as soon as you start. So where it says minimize and start, that means as soon as you hit, either click start, or in a minute I'll show you there's the keys, it goes away, so their kids aren't seeing you minimize everything, because they see everything you see on the screen. So there's also the box that says record cursor. That means if I'm using my MobiPad, it records your pen as you're doing things. Otherwise, there's nothing writing except for there's words coming out, and sometimes it's a little weird for them. It's kind of weird for me too when I watch it. And then I also personally like hotkeys, which means you use the, was it F5 and F7? Yeah, F7 to start, F8 to stop. And so that way, it'll minimize as soon as you hit start. And then to stop, you just hit a hotkey instead of having to go back into that, so then they don't see all that extra fumbling around. So also, if I was going to use the hotkeys and have that minimized in the background, I'd already have up, for me at least, I have up what I want to do. So if I was going to, if you were going to show them how to get from a to a certain document and how to use it, you may want to show step-by-step instruction. For me, if I'm going straight into my lesson, I already have this opened up in the background, so like if, on my screen, on my backdrop, I have a picture. That's not something they really need to see, or anyone else in the world if they find my thing on YouTube, which you can make it private, by the way, and I'll show you that too. But I don't really worry about it because it's easier to find if it's public. So then once I do this, let's say I was going to record, and not take this out. So, is there any speakers on this, by the way? Has this not been set up for the headphones?
You may have to exit out and go back into it just because the headphones were plugged in after you opened it up.
Okay. I was say I've never had that problem before. There we go. See how this is microphone? That should be in there if you're going to use headphones. And I want minimize and start, record cursor. Use hotkeys there. That looks right. So
it's kind of difficult to see or hear what's happening here. Basically, the error that she got is happening because you need to select screen area, which she's going to do in a moment.
it has everything up like a normal
So once you get all of your other settings set and you're ready to go, you click that button up there that she just clicked called Select Screen Area. She's going to do it again here. And then if you want to do the entire screen, you'll just start with the first click in the top left-hand corner, and then your second click would be the bottom right-hand corner, and that's going to select your entire screen. If there's a certain area of the screen that you want to record, you can also do that. You just click one corner and then the other corner.
Alright, so this is how we're going to write our sentence. A cat in the hat. and that would end my recording. And you see my recordings right down here. So you can do multiple recordings, and then I always go back and listen because a lot of times I may notice I say something wrong, especially if you're teaching something new and you state something wrong, which I mean we do all the time. I don't know if we have any volume in here. So it should automatically upload to this one. I think all computers are set a little bit differently. It should go somewhere under the computer. Mine normally goes to my G drive. This one looks like it goes under local C. And you can rename the videos. I would recommend naming it something you're going to remember, 3 months from now. Alright, so this is how we're going to write our sentence. A cat in the hat. So that'd be exactly what they see, what they hear. So they see and hear everything, and that's all. And so that's why I like to record the cursor, and they don't see anything else. And then if I like what I see, I'll go to YouTube. And right there at the top, there's upload. So once you're in, you have options here. You can make it public, unlisted, or private. Those are your choices. The reason to maybe make it unlisted or private would be if you think there's a copyright issue. If you're using something, if you're photocopying something or scanning something in from a book and there's copyright there, you might want to make it private so that's not on the web. But otherwise, there's no fear of public unless you don't want people seeing what you're doing besides your students. Because if you make it public, anyone can find you on YouTube with what you've done. That is the thing about being public on it. So if I wanted to do...
So if we were going to do like Saxon lesson 80.
Now, if you were teaching it yourself, that's you teaching material. Now, if you were going to scan in the book's pages and things like that, that would be probably copyright because you're saying here's the information. That would be something, I'm not huge on copyright stuff, but that would be more questionable. To me, if you're teaching material, that's you knowing what you know.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's a personal thing. Me, I'm not really afraid of the public stuff, but, so maybe I'd make it unlisted, and then I want to upload. There it is, select file, sorry. And what was that under computer?
Should be under the library's video folder there on the left-hand side.
There it is, videos. And so I upload the video.
Is that where it automatically defaults?
It's different from each computer, I've noticed. Because
I'm
like,
not sure how
in
they
Val's
set it
office,
all
it goes to a certain folder. In mine, it goes to my drive in a video folder. It'd be something you need to look at on your computer.
You should be able to set it inside of A2 Catcher. You should be able to set that as to where it would default to.
And if you look here, you can retitle your video. So instead of calling it video 1, 2, 3, blah, 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 it may say sentences. And you could just describe it. So if you were doing something like, say, like you were teaching the kids how to use GeoGebra, you could say, step-by-step process of creating whatever you wanted to do in GeoGebra. And then it's kind of, since it's in Google, it saves everything you do. It's already saved all my changes. And so it's processing now. which the smaller the video, least time it takes. Now I will say, studies show that 8 to 10 minutes is probably the best length of videos. Now I've created longer ones, but if you think something you're going to do is going to take longer than that, I'd make a part 1, part 2, because your kids are going to lose interest. If it's something, I mean 11 minutes is not a big deal, but if you're going to 15, 18 minutes, I'd say make a part 1, part 2, because they're going to get bored with it unless it's like a movie, you know. I mean, if you're acting out some sort of play, that's probably different, but make it something where they, plus if they want to re-look at information, it's a lot easier in a smaller segment to find it than if you're looking at this huge chunk of information. So, let me see. So normally this is, okay, Derek, this is what I've been normally sending you guys, and this is where the problem's been. So is this where I need to click and go to the video itself, and then load up the URL?
Yes.
Okay, so if I went to this, that's the problem. So, how do I get to it if
Well, if you're logged in as a teacher,
I should be able to get to it?
You
So,
can override the content filter.
override.
Yeah, and then you just log in with your Nobel username and password. Just FYI, it does log that, so.
Okay, so this is
Not a big
mine.
deal for something like this.
So then this is the one you need to send tech support, because that was my mistake. I was sending that little thing. Did you see that small? And that's not named the same. And so the kids were having a hard time. Sometimes they could open it, but most of them couldn't yet. It had been made viewable by our technology group. And so we figured out this was the problem, that I needed to actually go to the video and then send them this link instead. So that was the issue, because I'm like, you guys should be able to see this. It's because they said the thing that was coming up says not allowed to see because it's from YouTube. Like, no, that's not right. So that was one of the battles we had. But otherwise, I mean, everything else has gone well with this. The kids seem to like it. Some things are better than others. And like I said, it doesn't work for every lesson. I mean, you can't literally flip everything. If you're doing something at the beginning of the year, it may not work now. I know, Amy, you've combined a few lessons. So if you combine it and then you make one big activity to see if you could maybe make it go a little bit deeper thought, even if it's from review. So if they get something that they should know, but then you know it's going to lead to something more. And see if they can already get to that, knowing that they knew they had a really good understanding. That's kind of what this helps with.